Just as a disclaimer, we want you to know that some of the movies that we will be reviewing were shot in a different time and era where people of race and sex were not treated equally. We understand this and hope you do too. The movies or anything that happened on the sets are not the views of this podcast or what this show is intended to be all about.
Exactly. And we want to give due diligence in presenting the movie and not the views of the cast or directors or anyone involved. But we also feel it's necessary to let the audience know some of the background information to get a feel for what was happening at the time of shooting the film. Again, we hope you understand that we do not agree with everything that went on, and we just want to give out the information. And with that being said, hope you enjoy the show.
All right, guys, we're back here with the Tragedy Cinema, the Real Talk, episode number 2.
Real Talk 2.
Real Talk.
Electric Boogaloo.
For those of you that don't know, I'm Jimbo. This is my counterpart, co-host,
Terrence.
And this is basically where we just lay back. There's no script. I just have a few things on my sheet. There's no notes. There's no research. It's just where we get to lay back.
The ramblings of two gentlemen
talk about
movies.
Whatever we feel like talking about. If there's any questions or anything, news and noteworthy, this is where we get and talk about everything. If you haven't checked out our first one, we talked about The Little Mermaid being an African-American little girl now.
Yep.
We talked about the genie being blue and Will Smith.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about Netflix.
Yep.
So we're going to start this episode off with coming, I think, October 5th or November 5th. November 5th.
It's October.
It's October 5th?
It's next month.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's like
it's
2
right
weeks.
At least I think it was October.
We'll be talking about Disney Plus for a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, no, I'm gonna look up that date while you give your spiel.
Just another way Disney can take over the world. You know what I mean? Come on. I mean, they already have California. They have Florida. Now they're going to just take over your whole life. But some of the content that they're putting on there...
November.
Yeah, I thought it was November 5th. Remember the 5th of November? Is that what it is?
The 12th.
Really?
Yep. Okay, so it's because we have international viewers. It launches November 12th in the U.S., Canada, and the Netherlands. And then it will launch later in the week on the 19th for Australia and New Zealand.
So before we just got done finishing our Star Trek recording, we went ahead and did this one tonight too. Terrence had not seen the new Mandalorian trailer for Star Wars,
which I did see now.
Which I just showed it to him, and I had to keep him in his chair because he was jumping up and down like a little kid in a candy store.
Here's what I find interesting. This is just, I'm going to touch on like trailers in general. I love this trailer because it gives me just enough to get excited for it, but it tells me nothing. And it
absolutely
spoils nothing about it. Because that's the problem with trailers nowadays. Is sometimes you get trailers that reveal way too much. You get trailers that give all the punchlines to a movie. The biggest example is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. They put a lot of punchlines, a lot of really funny punchlines in the trailer. So you laugh when you see the trailer, right? And then you see the trailer over and over. When you start, you'll see the trailer when you're trying to watch YouTube videos. You'll see the trailer, yada, yada, yada. And then when I'm in the theater, finally watching the movie and those jokes happen, I'm not going to laugh because I've seen the joke over and over and over. And so this trailer was so well done, and it's got me so excited for it, but it also, I have no idea what to expect with this show.
I mean, I like how you've seen the different Mandalorians. You could tell there was a couple different factions of the Mandalorians there, just by the colors. Like one of them had red, one of them was gray. So I think there's different leagues of the Mandalorians.
And they're showing a different style of the Mandalorian armor and suit.
But what I also liked is they had just enough of the old stuff in there. Like they showed some people frozen in carbonite.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, yes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They mentioned bounty hunters. You see IG-88.
Or a version
of it. I think it's IG-88, to be honest.
Well, I don't know. Depends on where they're going to throw it in there. I just don't think it's the real IGD. I think he's already dead. I think it's just another prototype of the same model. But we'll see. We'll see who's right. Mark this date down. We'll see who's right.
I know, right?
Yeah, The Mandalorian. That's one that's coming. Another one that's coming to Disney Plus. I don't know if you've seen the trailer for it, but is the live action Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, yep, I did see that.
I think that's going to be fantastic. All the dogs in that movie were from rescue homes or from rescue centers, like pounds and stuff. And now they've all been adopted. So I thought that was pretty cool that they found a happy ending after they got them all. And
I mean, that's definitely awesome in contrast to, like, some of the older animal movies you hear, which is kind of like why we have animal movies now. When they have animals in the movie, they go, no animal was harmed in this movie. Because
right. And I tell you what, if they ever do The Fox and the Hound, I'm going to be crying like a baby because that one still gets me. That is one of my favorite all-time movies, too. They're just the way that, hey, we'll always be friends, you know what I mean? Forever, you know what I mean? And then they ended up having to be enemies, you know what I mean? And that just tugs at your heartstrings, you know what I mean? He's like, if you ever come back here again, I'll kill you, you know, Copper or whatever. And I was like, man, you know, just when they were young, it's like even today, you know, kids don't see color. Yeah. They just know that they're friends in school, you know what I mean? And then later on in life, when they start getting their prejudices in, that's when it all takes place, you know what I mean?
Which is taught.
I know. It's not good. Yeah. But, great movie. Fox and the Hound. So,
and then also, at least in the future of Disney Plus, we know that they're going to do something with Obi-Wan because McGregor was billed back to reprise his role as young Obi-Wan.
And if you haven't seen the lineup that you can watch on launch, it is like
it's
every
stacked.
single Disney movie ever of all time. Like, I mean,
including all the Marvel movies, should you've missed any.
All the Marvels, at least all the Star Wars.
Captain Marvel, I believe, is how
all the Star Wars, all
go.
the classical Disney movies you could ever want.
Yeah.
There's some in there that I haven't seen in years. I mean, I think like Blackbeard's Ghost.
Some of them have been locked in the quote-unquote Disney vault forever, and they haven't released again.
Right. They may never release because they're going to have it on there.
They're going to have it on stream.
Which is pretty cool. You know, because some of those stuff were getting hard to find.
Oh yeah.
Now everybody can have it at, and what is it, $5.99 or something?
Yeah,
something crazy.
Which is for a streaming service, that's great. But I also think because of the massive amount of streaming services there are now, because you got Disney Plus now. Which is right around the corner. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Amazon, HBO, you got Amazon.
CBS has one now.
CBS, and then if you watch
Apple's getting ready to come out with something too, I think.
Apple is going to come out with something. And then if you watch anime like myself, there's Crunchyroll, and then there's VRV, which also includes Boomerang, which I do watch. I've been watching like old Scooby-Doo episodes. I love Scooby-Doo. But there's that also. So there's so many streaming services that I think if any more happens, if not already, there's going to be a resurgence in like massive internet piracy because it's a lot to pay for to try to see all.
Here's what I think's going to end up happening. I think Disney's going to end up buying a couple of them. I think they'll end up cornering the market again. Like, did they get Fox? They got Fox.
Yeah, they got Fox.
They got Fox.
That is official now.
Okay, so we have Disney's already got Fox. I mean, if they take Hulu or if they take Netflix, can you imagine if they buy Netflix?
Well, here's the thing: they own part of Hulu.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, part of it, but they don't own all of it yet. You know what I mean?
That's
true.
I'm
just saying, if they ever come out where they just get everything, which is coming, I don't know.
It's an interesting direction.
Right.
But
I'm more interested about some of the newer content that they're going to be putting on Disney Plus than what some of the stuff that I've already
It'll
seen.
be very nice to see all the old stuff, but I am also looking forward to the new content. I mean, that's what I like about some of these streaming services is the originals they come out with. So, Netflix has all their Netflix comedies, and they got Netflix originals, and then you got Hulu's even got some Hulu originals. One I've been watching is Handmaid's Tale. Oh, it's intense. But
I was noticing I was looking through that list. I was looking to see if they were going to put it out there. And it's not on there that I saw is Song of the South. Do you know the Song of the South?
I'm not familiar with that.
The one where the guy sings zippity doo da zippity day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because of the time it was shot, it's considered highly racial.
I thought that was a Mary Poppins song.
No,
Or was that originally in something else and then made it into Mary Poppins?
And that's not even in Mary Poppins.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I thought that was a...
No, it's in Song of the South.
All right.
Because I think it's been banned by Disney. Look it up on your phone while I'm talking. I think it's called Song of the South, and you'll see where it's been banned or whatever. Disney's sticking true to their word about that. You know what I mean? So, but
yeah.
It's very, racial, and I don't know if it should be. Should it be included or should it not be included? I'm asking you, Terrence.
But
you've never seen it, so you wouldn't have a dog in the fight.
Exactly.
But I think they're trying to get where they don't offend people.
Well, I mean, they've always been very protective of their IP in general.
Right.
Disney has always been very strict about what they put out and their image, basically.
Right. So while you're doing that, did you find it?
Yeah, it says Disney Plus streaming will not offer "quote unquote" racist Song of the South film.
See, there you go. Now, did you read anything about it?
No, that's the title, which I think says. So,
so it's not on there. So we've talked about Disney Plus now. I mean, we've talked about the new content, the old content. So this is something else that I want to talk about before we get into something else. I want to talk about reboots, reshoots, and new content.
Yep.
All right. Me and you both know that we've talked about reboots or remakes.
Yeah.
Right? How the sequel is never better than the original, except in a handful of occasions that come to mind. But now, as of this week, you're getting the Saved by the Bell reboot.
Yeah.
You're getting the new Battlestar Galactica reboot.
That's right. They are doing
even
that,
though they're not saying it's a reboot. It's just basically a continuation of somewhere in that storyline. But in all intents and purposes, it's coming out again.
It's a reboot.
Right. Then you got the the Ghostbusters cast coming back, which I've already heard that they were coming back, but I guess now they're making it official. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that was kind of always.
So Ghostbusters 3 is coming out. So what's your feelings on reboots, reshoots, remakes, or would you rather see new content? Because to me, it seems like they're running out of ideas really quick.
That's why I thought it's a very here's my take on it. It's movies is more. It's a very controlled market nowadays. And that's why you see a lot of the original stuff on streaming services. Like, if you look at a lot of the Netflix originals, there are a lot of original ideas that are hit or miss for sure. But it leaves more room to explore ideas and concepts. Where, like, when it comes to big movies, if you come up with something new with the with the exception of a handful of movies that come out that are original. It's safer to do a reboot knowing that you're going to pull in numbers based on the previous audience from the original movie. But yeah, it's just I feel like especially when you sign with let's say a big movie studio, right? They're only going to pick and choose what they know is going to make money. So let's say you have 5 different writers, you have 5 different scripts come your way. You're big, let's say Disney, right? You come up to Disney, you're like, hey, I got these 5 movie ideas. 4 of them are original and one's a reboot. And then they look at them all and they be like, well, we know that reboot will make a lot of money, but we're not really sure about these other 4. They're going to go with the one that makes a lot of money.
And then sometimes a turnaround just falls flat on their face.
Exactly. Or if someone comes in with the original idea and then they try to, sign with a big movie company, the big movie company goes, we like that, but we want you to change 75% of it. Which happens a lot. So then they end up exiting because they don't want their story being butchered.
So what reboot has happened, or remake, I'll say, has happened that has just totally made you mad? I know Dragon Ball Z is up there for you. It's got to be up there.
I wouldn't. That's just live action. That's what that is. Because technically, they have had a reboot, and that was the resurgence of the new arc in anime, which which is pretty awesome. I watched that all the way through Dragon Ball Super. It's fun. I'm not going to get into it. But as far as reboots or, bringing something back or trying to make a spin-off of or whatever, I think one of the ones I was pretty disappointed by was, and I gave it a chance. Don't get me wrong. I was excited for it when I heard about it. I watched it and I was like, wow, that was a big letdown. And that was Ocean's 14. Which is, the all-woman cast heist movie. I love heist movies, but the problem with that movie for me was in every Ocean's movie, Ocean's 11, 12, 13, I enjoyed all three. There was always this big sort of hiccup within the heist that's oh crap, this could just break everything and we can all get caught, arrested, so and so. Or they do have a pivotal moment where, I believe in Ocean's 13. They do all get arrested, but that was part of the plan. You find out in the end.
Right.
There was never that moment in Ocean's 14. It just went perfect. Everything went perfect, and you really didn't. The biggest conflict was oh no, my ex is here. He might ruin things. That was it. But other than that, there was really no edge of my seat moment where I'm oh, what's going on? It just went all too well. And then the interactions between the characters seemed like they were trying too hard to be like the originals, because in Ocean's 11 through 13 you have you have Daniel Ocean, and then you have Rusty, who's almost his go-to guy to talk to. They have this dynamic that's very enjoyable to watch on screen. It's almost like they tried to kind of replicate that, but it didn't do so well, and I wanted to like it. I really did. So it wasn't like I came into this movie skeptical. But when I watched it, I was so let down. That would be my biggest reboot sort of disappointment.
Well, I've recently joined up with Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's on the main page when you click it on is Mr. Mom. It's a TV series now, and which is a play off of Mr. Mom, the Michael Keaton movie from 1983, 5, somewhere in there. That is one of my all-time favorite movies, just because I see so much of myself in him. You know what I mean? And I'm going to give it a shot, but I already know that I'm not going to like it as much, because number one, it's a TV show.
Yeah.
And
you can only do so much.
Well, I mean, no, they could probably do more, but I don't know if that's going to... More does not always necessarily equal better. I mean,
that's what I mean.
Look at the Transformers movies. If we start there, you know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't mean that more is necessarily better. I'm going to give it at least a shot, but I don't have high hopes for it.
Yeah.
Same way, I caught a little bit of the Beverly Hills 90210 reboot, where all the characters are actually playing the real life name. And it's weird. It's really weird.
Let me flip the question to a positive light. What reboots or remakes or after a long time coming out with a sequel that you did enjoy?
Okay. One right off the bat that I didn't mind, I don't think it's quite as good as the original, but I enjoyed it, was The Magnificent Seven.
Oh, yeah.
Denzel Washington.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. Let's see. Lately, give me one if you got one while I'm thinking.
Blade Runner. That's the first one that popped to my mind. The new Blade. I really like the new Blade Runner.
Tron Legacy was good. Even though it's a little bit older now.
But it was still a solid sequel that was long overdue.
I guess I really like the Underworld movies.
Those are fun. Yeah,
I think they're fun. I hate it when they tell a trilogy and then they go back and try to do a prequel. You know what I mean? It gets a little...
I think that was the weaker of the movies when it came to the Underworld movies, when they tried to go back.
Well, we can talk about another reboot that's coming out, The Matrix. They're doing another Matrix movie.
And you know what? Honestly, at least according to other fans, because I personally liked all three movies, but I know a lot of people only liked the first movie and hated the other two.
Yeah, the CGI was a little wonky where he was fighting all the Mr. Smiths, though. You know what I mean? You could tell.
Yeah, but it was still fun.
It was a little And then you want the albino twins. That was
which is interesting because I think it's once again one of those cases where, interestingly enough, there is an extended lore to this, but you don't know about them unless you look into that extended. And Star Wars has the same problem where they show all these things in the movie, but you have to really go out of your way to look up what it is, what it's about, blah blah blah. So that was that one. Those Ghost Twins. You don't know about them unless you go outside of the movie and read other stuff, play the games, blah blah blah. But yeah, I honestly, because of how much I know the Matrix 2 and 3 were hated, I feel like it can only improve the movie. Not to mention it's spearheaded by Keanu Reeves and the woman who played Trinity.
Yeah. Moss.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I feel like because of the bad taste that 2 and 3 left in people's mouth, it can only do better.
Right.
In my opinion, and not to mention you have better CGI. And,
There was also announced last week or the week before that Harrison Ford wants to do Indiana Jones 5, and from what I read, that's going to be his last hurrah, his last movie. I think he might retire. Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised
because he hated the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I wasn't really a big fan of that. I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But that one was it was like X-Files meets Indiana Jones. Like, yeah, it wasn't really that good. I mean, I still liked it because it's Harrison Ford. But,
yeah.
So reboots, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And then here's another reboot that I'm actually interested to see what direction it goes in, and that is Disney starting their X-Men line, or their mutants. Sort of actually introducing mutants into the Marvel universe.
What I'm more interested to see is where's Spider-Man going to end up in all this?
Yeah, I don't know if that'll ever iron itself out.
No, I don't think so either, because they've just... I'm still in the hopes that we're going to get a good Fantastic Four movie. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But I think they've done so much damage to it that it's going to be years before we see anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
I'm still waiting for a good Doctor Doom.
Right.
One of my favorite villains who just hasn't been nailed.
They just can't.
They just can't.
It's like, if they get Johnny Storm right or whatever, then they mess up Sue Reed.
Else.
Yeah, right. I was just like, can't we just get it all together and just nail it down?
Right.
Which, speaking of the racial thing, that movie where they made Johnny Storm black, the most recent remake, that whole movie was just terrible.
Here's the thing, like, I like Michael
Chiklis?
No. The guy who played the new Johnny Storm.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why I'm blanking on his name.
Look it up while you're talking.
I really like him as an actor, and that is easily his weakest role. But given almost everybody in that movie, that was
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. So weakest role easily. Like I watched that movie when I was working at Family Video. It was.
I got a feeling all you did was watch videos there, because every time we talked,
that's all I did. Yeah, that's exactly all I did, man. So someone put that on. So I was like, I've never seen it, and there's really no one here, so I'll tune into it. So I watched this movie, and I see why everybody kind of just wants to disown it. As far as like everybody who worked with it, like the director wanted to completely disassociate himself with it, and all the actors like kind of just wanted to get it over with.
Well, they're saying that they want that he's going to be a star in the new Matrix movie.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be very interesting.
Yeah. See.
Oh, okay. Michael B. Jordan to star in new Matrix movie.
So we'll see how it goes. We'll see. They also think that he's going to be returning as Killmonger in Black Panther 2.
That'd be awesome.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And then that he's going to be in the Rainbow Six movie franchise.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Over anything anymore. So now let's go ahead and move into recent movies that we have watched. So if you want to do one, I'll do one, and then we'll go back and forth until...
So I guess I'll kind of go in order of recent things I've watched. I finally watched John Wick 3, and we were talking about earlier how you haven't seen any of them. I love John Wick 3, and I just love the John Wick series, and it's purely based on the action that's in it. Before the first John Wick, I kind of had... when I was younger... absolutely loved action movies, and when I say action movies, I'm talking this movie is action for the sake of action. I haven't seen a good one in a while, And then I watched John Wick, and I was just completely in awestruck of how awesome this movie was. I'm like, oh man, that was great. I've watched it so many times now. And 2 keeps up the same pace, and 3 takes it to the next step. And another thing that what I enjoyed about 3 is there's some very unique fight scenes that I haven't seen in other movies. One of them being there's this fight scene in a sort of a museum, sort of antique weapon shop, right? So they're just showing like old like guns and swords and knives. And it's this scene where he's fighting all these dudes, because basically 3 is all about, hey, there's a huge bounty on him now, and everybody's trying to cash in, and he's been completely cut off from the sort of the assassin network or whatever that he would usually rely on to supply him and stuff. So he's getting no supplies, no help, no backup, and he's in this sort of shop or museum or whatever, and they have this full-on like knife fight in this shop. And one thing that I've always been put off in like movies and stuff is in action movies in particular. Action movies are very they do this all the time. Like you'll get a knife, they'll throw it at a dude, and it just sticks them, and they're done. They're like, and then, that's it. A knife won't do that. So in this scene, it's just them throwing knives back and forth at each other, just taking knives and then just like pulling knives out and throwing them back. And it's this really amazing fight scene. Very graphic for anybody who wants to watch the John Wick series. But that was very unique, I thought. And then there's a whole other scene where Halle Berry's in it, and she has 2 dogs that she fights with. So it's her fighting in tandem with her dogs. And now, given this scene, you can tell the scene was because they use real dogs in this. So there's certain things that you're like, why does that happen? I'm like, well, they're using real dogs to do these scenes, so they can only do so much. But I still appreciate it that they're not going to use CGI dogs. They used real dogs. They trained these dogs for these scenes, and it turned out very well and awesome. And that was something my wife pointed out when we were watching it. Because when a dog like attacks a dude, they'll kind of like just grab something, and then they'll just kind of be like, and then my wife was like, well, I mean, realistically, wouldn't they just punch the dog? And then I'm like, well, yeah, but they're using real dogs, so they're not going to do that.
Right. They don't want to have Pete on them.
So yeah, exactly. So that was it's a small nitpick, but those were like 2 very unique scenes that I liked. And how you were saying you saw a scene with a horse, there is a scene where he's riding a horse through New York, and he's getting chased by like bikers, and he's fighting the bikers on horseback, and it was a very cool scene. But yeah, that would be my one movie,
okay.
One of the first movies I saw.
One of the more recent ones I've seen is called The Peanut Butter Falcon. Have you heard of it?
I have not.
Okay, The Peanut Butter Falcon is a story about a guy who is down on his luck, and he is basically in the Louisiana Bayou.
Yeah.
And he's on a boat, and he's like stealing people's crab, how they drop it for crabs or whatever.
Yeah.
He's stealing lobsters, whatever. And he's stealing their thing, and these people find out that he's been stealing from them.
Yeah.
So, they're like, they beat him up or whatever. Well, but what you don't realize is there's a kid with Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And he's in this his parents don't want him anymore or whatever, and they got him in this nursing home.
Yeah.
And one of the ladies that watches him is in the nursing home. That's so she can keep an eye on him. But he's in there like with this old guy, and they're in cahoots together. And he's always trying to run away and all this because he's, and he's thrilled with watching wrestling. He has this VHS tape. It's like from the 80s of this famous wrestler. I don't even know what his name was anymore, like Captain Amazing or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just gets up there. He memorizes, he memorizes like the movies. Like, And so he tries to run away, and they keep catching. She's like, "Look, they put bars on his window, right?"
Yeah.
And the old guy's in there, and one night he's like, "We gotta get out of here," So the old guy helps him. And they take this thing and they crank the bars on the window and spread it. And he gives him this lube, and he says, "Lube up all over." He gets in his underwear, and he squeezes through this bar, and he takes off running. You see him running down the road, and all that. So he's escaped.
Yeah.
And throughout the whole movie, he comes to find out, he runs into that guy that's down on his luck. He hides on his boat.
Yeah.
And, the people so the guy that was stealing everything, beat up or whatever, he decides that he throws lighter fluid all over these crab cages and he lights them on fire. And the guys see him, they start chasing him. So he jumps in his boat. They take off and they're hiding in the brush or whatever. And he shuts off his motor and the guys go by or whatever. And then he sees the kid in the boat. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "First chance you get, we're gonna drop you off or whatever." And he's like, "I just want to. I'm trying to get to this wrestling school. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Will you help me?" And it just tugs at your heartstring the whole movie.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to swim, and so the one guy's like, "I'm just leaving you here, whatever." So the kid's like, "Okay." So he starts walking, and the guy walks up the road, and he gets a ride from this guy, and he's like, "Well, they got roadblocks up looking for this guy that set this fire." He's like, "Well, thanks. I'm just going to get out and walk. I forgot something." So he walks back, and this kid has climbed up to the top of like this, I don't know, like a steel mill or something, a wood mill, and there's a kid up there. He's like, jump in the water. Go ahead, jump in the water. Are you chicken? Are you stupid?
Yeah.
So basically, the guy sees it. He knows he can't swim.
Yeah.
And so the kid basically gets shoved off into the water or jumps in the water, and he can't swim. So the guy dives in after him. So after that, they kind of become friends,
Yeah.
And, he's teaching him how to swim. But all the time, this lady starts to look for this kid because he's out on his own. He doesn't know where he's at. There's some shenanigans that happen in between. I don't want to give any away for the movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
There is some language, but it's really good. And so finally he meets his... they go down and they finally get to the address that the kid had memorized from this old VHS tape, right?
Yeah.
The wrestling school or whatever. And they knock on this trailer door. It's just rundown trailer. And and it's the wrestler. He's older. He's like, "I haven't done that for like 15 years." And he's like, "Could you do me a favor?" He said, "Could you just shake the hand of this kid that's come all this way, talk to him?"
Yeah.
And so he comes up there. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Captain Amazing doesn't live here anymore, blah, blah, blah." And the kid's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Nice meeting you." So they leave, and they're walking back down the road. The ladies decide that she's taking him back to wherever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you seen this Trans Am or something come down, and it's the guy dressed up in his wrestling gear. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "I heard you were looking for me or whatever." So he takes him back to his rundown trailer.
Yeah.
Sets up like a makeshift ring just out of like some little rope or whatever, and he's teaching him like wrestling moves, wrestling that. Well, Jake the Snake Roberts is in this movie.
Oh, nice.
Also Mick Foley is in this movie.
Oh, nice.
Right. So I'm not going to ruin the end of the movie for you, but he becomes the Peanut Butter Falcon because one night they get drunk and he's like, "Well, you got to come up with a hero name," you know what I mean? So you see him like put peanut butter all over him and all over himself and feathers. It is a fantastic movie. Tugs at your heartstrings. Great movie.
I've actually never.
I need you to check. I hadn't either.
Check it out.
But you need to check it out. That's a good one. So I'll toss it back to you if you've got another.
Yeah, I got a couple actually.
Well, so do I. But
this one will tie back into previous conversations. I finally watched Aladdin. And this is something we've talked about, outside, outside of, we talked about it in the first Real Talk. I hadn't seen it then, and then we've talked about this off podcast. But now I can tell everybody's feeling. Since we have talked about it, I can tell the audience's feelings of how I felt about Aladdin, which is it was entertaining, it was enjoyable, but easily forgettable. That would be my quick rundown of how I felt about it. As far as all the cast and everything, I had no problem with the songs. I had no problem with all the actors. I think everybody did great. I liked all the songs. The only two songs that I felt were like really kind of shoved in there were the two new songs with Princess Jasmine, and that was, I don't know, it just didn't fit the pace or almost the tone and feel. Where like
kind of like forced in there.
Yeah, because Beauty and the Beast, they gave Beast a song, but it fit, and it was, I liked that song. I was like, oh, and Beast has his own song, and it's great.
And we talked about this before.
Yeah.
We both think that Beauty and the Beast is probably the best one they've done so
far.
For
sure. Everything about that, I have really no bad critiques about that movie, to be honest.
Nope.
It was just a really great remake.
And I think they nailed all the characters perfectly.
Where Aladdin, it just... That would be my biggest thing, is the two songs really kind of felt shoved in there. There was some, I feel, character development that they really tried to rush and shove in there, which is like at the end when Jafar finally he's like, "I'm now the Sultan."
Yeah, it was really
they were
quick.
like, yeah, and they were like, what was his name? Hasim. And then they were like, "Oh, Hasim, we grew up together and this and that, and I remember this." And I'm like, this all feels so sudden and quick. and I should feel for him or something, or I should understand his plight in such a short a time. I'm like, for me, he's just been a guy who's popped up for the punchline. And like he keeps arresting Aladdin, but I didn't even know he was captain of the guard or whatever.
Right, and I feel like the whole ending, the whole thing where he turns into, make me the most powerful sorcerer, make me the G. It was like really quick. Like
it was.
I was like,
I felt like they saved that big sort of like climactic action in the part when they teleport him away, and then he comes back, and then he has even before that when. Jafar turns Iago into like a giant bird, and then they're running through. I felt like that was the big climactic action, and then finally when he does turn into a genie,
it was just
it's very quick.
And
but
I was like,
I felt that there was some things that they just couldn't figure out how to pull off in sort of in this live action setting, because there are some like just things that happen in Aladdin that should stay in a cartoon, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, like, I know pulling off that whole end scene would have been difficult to impossible, right? So I understand why they did it, but it still just felt quick, like you were saying.
Yeah, it rushed.
And it's because of these small things that after I watched it, it just made me want to watch the original.
Right. And another thing you talked about when we talked about off the air was about it was a Guy Ritchie movie, and nothing about it.
And nothing, like, every time I see a Guy Ritchie film, I'm a huge fan of Guy Ritchie. He's one of my all-time favorite directors. He's what's driven me to write and want to direct in the future. I love Guy Ritchie. I love his work, and this I could not. Every movie you watch of Guy Ritchie, you can see sort of his signature on it.
Why don't you name
almost.
a couple of them so the audience knows
absolutely.
the movies that you're talking about?
Yeah, some of my favorites are Snatch, Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels. He also did Rock and Rolla. He did more recently Arthur, which that was mixed review. I personally enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. Definitely not his best, but it was a very much enjoyable movie. And I understand when he wrote that, it was him trying to do a more serious movie, because a lot of his movies are comedies. They're ensemble comedies. Lots of shenanigans happen. Now these are all very R-rated, lots of language, violence and stuff, but very great movies. And they all have, whether it's the score, which I realize he has no control over when it comes to Aladdin, because not only is it from something already, but as far as scores, there would be no way to input his sort of signature scores into Aladdin at all. So I get that, but there's also certain action sequences in all his movies that he's very known for that you also didn't see, that I felt he could have fit in, but there was just no him in this movie. Like if you didn't tell me, and if I didn't see his name on it, I wouldn't know he did it at all, because there's no part of the movie.
But you don't know how much Disney let him do on
exactly.
His own,
I feel like
could have cut out. There could be a lot of stuff in the
that he put in
that the DVD, like the extended director's cut or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be in there,
because he always has these. As far as his movies goes, he always has these either interesting camera angles or interesting snapshots, and a mixture of slow mo and just things he does with sounds. That he plays around with, that just really ties in a scene together or puts in perspective on things, and that's almost in all of his movies, but that just wasn't in this one at all. And there's just, like I said, there's really no Guy Ritchie flair in it,
right.
And that was one of the things I was excited for. I was like, what, Guy Ritchie's doing Aladdin? It's gonna be awesome. But definitely probably his weakest movie.
So would you say maybe just watch it once?
Watch it once, yeah. And then you'll probably want to watch the cartoon.
Unless that's your movie for me, that some, my daughter loves it. So I mean, yeah. But she'd never seen the original either. And
I will say, as a tidbit, and I find this hilarious. So I remember a lot of people saying, including a really close buddy of mine, he's all like, "Oh, I swear, if I hear Will Smith rap in this freaking movie, I'm done with it. I'm walking out of the theater." And so in the end, in the credits, he has a rap of "Never Had a Friend Like Me," and I'm like, I actually really like that song, and instead of him trying to do the song, I actually would have preferred him to be in his element.
That's what I told you about the first time we talked about this. I was like, the song felt forced. You know what I mean? To me, being a Will Smith fan that I have been, this is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air days, and even DJ Jazzy Jess for Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
When he started singing, and I was like, it just doesn't seem right. This isn't Will Smith. And I understand he has big shoes to follow. I mean, Robin Williams, you can't really do
and I like that he didn't try. He definitely knew Will Smith's direction on things. All his jokes were very Will Smith centric.
Right. Well, I was going to say I liked how he did the genie though. The genie was fine. Especially where they're out there in the desert, and Will Smith's dressing up like Prince Ali or whatever.
That was great.
It was great. So a movie that I watched that it's been a while now, but since I think it's a Netflix original.
Okay.
And it's called I Kill Giants. Have you watched I Kill Giants?
I have watched. That's not a Netflix original, but I have watched it.
What did you think of that?
Okay, so my opinion is...
I liked the movie.
I liked it,
it's
but
original.
I wish it wasn't presented how because I never knew what this was.
I didn't either. I was like, I'm going to give this a shot.
I saw a trailer of I Kill Giants, and the trailer and the cover sort of paint a way different picture than what the movie actually is.
But I was pleasantly surprised by the movie.
Absolutely. I do like the themes that it covers. It's a surprisingly deep movie. Really deep.
Especially the ending, too. You're like, wow.
And so it's in short, it's dealing with
life, pretty much life.
Yeah.
A little girl,
and loss.
A little girl, struggling. And, and it was a good movie, man.
It was really good.
I don't want to say too much. Watch the trailer, but even though the trailer you're going to see...
No, here's the thing. I wouldn't even say watch the trailer. Just watch it cold. Just come into the movie.
Go in there, huh?
Just go in there. Just watch the movie.
It is on Netflix, though.
Because I feel like I said, I do feel the trailer paints a different picture, and you might have different ideas of what the movie might be, and watching it, some people might be put off by the fact it isn't what they thought it was.
Well, and I'll put this out there. When the title says I Kill Giants and the cover and everything, you think she's going to fight real monsters in this forest.
Yeah.
But the monster she's fighting, is a lot of them's in her head.
Yeah.
Just it's a good movie.
Fighting the demons inside.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Something else I've watched recently is Now You See Me 1 and 2. Great movies, fun movies.
They're fun. Yeah, they're fun.
I started rewatching. I did watch Die Hard. Everybody can get off my back. Okay, it was okay. I'm probably gonna hate me, but he just said it was okay. How dare you? Like I know Tim Mullins when we put out our review of Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever. He was like, did you guys have to bash my movie? I was like, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it's not what.
Be honest about it.
Yeah, I was like, it wasn't my cup of tea. I'm not bashing. I'm just saying the Freddy that's in that movie is not the Freddy that everybody's come.
I still catch flack, because I do it all the time. But I still catch flack for bashing Breakfast Club.
I got that one too. I know Sam's always bashing us too.
Yeah. A movie I watched, and this one was pleasantly, surprisingly good, and it was Light of My Life. And that movie is about there's basically this sickness, this plague that only affects women. It's taken out most of the women population. But the movie, the two main characters are following basically a father and daughter who he's disguised to look like his son because the environment that they're in, and it's just them surviving. Now, when I came into it, I thought it was going to be almost like The Road. Have you ever seen that? That's the one where it's a dude and his son. And they're just surviving this post-apocalyptic...
I don't know if I've ever seen it.
It's a good movie. Check it out. It's also a good book. It's based off a book. So I thought it was going to be like that kind of gritty, but it's almost... it was pleasantly surprising, because at first I thought I was like, wow, this is a really slow movie, but I still enjoy it. But then I found out it's just going in a completely different direction, because you think that, like, oh, they're in this sort of... Because after the plague more or less takes out like half the population, right? Like things aren't running so well, but things are still running. But there's a lot of people just like traveling, just trying to make it, and it's just following this guy and his daughter, and for the most part, it's just them and their relationship and seeing them grow into this environment that they're in. Their relationship changing, but in different ways of like him being sort of the overprotective father because he has to be, because he has a daughter in this world just full of men, basically, right? So he has to protect her, and but in doing that, he's not seeing that she's grown and she is growing into someone who can handle herself and survive. So it was a really good movie that I didn't know too much coming into it. I just saw the trailer. Now, once again, I think the trailer shows it to be a lot more action packed than it really is.
Right.
It's a lot of it's really just a lot of interactions between him and his daughter. It's a very very good movie.
Did you ever see the movie? I'm trying to think of the name of it. It might be called Equilibrium. I'm not sure on the title. But it's where they take away all like the books.
Equilibrium,
the art.
Equilibrium with Christian Bale.
That is a fantastic movie.
I love that movie.
I need to watch that movie again
It's
because
a great movie.
Yeah, but if you haven't seen that one, definitely check that one out. That's a really good one.
Where like they take drugs, they like cut their emotions and
It's
all.
Like I don't even want to say anything because I need to watch it again. It's been so
great. Yeah.
Another one that I just watched is and if you've listened to the episode recently, the 12 Angry Men.
Yep.
If you have not seen this movie, I don't know how many more times I can tell you.
Watch it.
The original from 1957. The topics that the jurors in there, the topic it covers, the acting, the story, everything about that movie is fantastic, and it still stands up till today.
It does. It really does.
So I wanted to throw that back out there. I did watch Star Trek: First Contact, obviously. Now, have we decided what our next movie is going to be? Is it going to be Stagecoach or is it going to be Tombstone? We flipped a coin, and Stagecoach won.
But then Stagecoach.
But then you're like, we're going to do Tombstone.
Like, I kind of really want to watch Tombstone again, just because thinking about it.
So I think we're going to do Tombstone.
Yeah,
let's do Tombstone. I think I said Stagecoach in the last episode we just recorded, but I think we're going to do Tombstone. So there you have it, Tombstone.
Yeah. I got two more movies I did watch.
Yeah, go ahead.
So after watched, actually no, it's just one more because I watched 12 Angry Men. Basically, same thoughts. I'm not going to repeat it. And then just watch our last episode to know what I think about Star Trek. But loved it. In short, I watched Booksmart, which is, and this I'll also touch on how I feel about marketing with certain movies that makes me angry and mad. So I'll start with that, actually. So Booksmart was marketed as the female Superbad. I hate marketing like that, and I think it doesn't allow movies that should be a standalone, like, original thing to do that, because now when I hear that, I'm going to end up comparing it to said thing, right? Or at the very least, I know that some people are going to be hard in trying to compare it or hard up in trying to compare something to something. So another example is Atomic Blonde. Yep. Atomic Blonde came out and they're like, oh, it's the female James Bond. And I'm like, it was such a good movie, but it has nothing to do with a Bond movie. It doesn't have the pacing of a Bond movie. It doesn't have anything to do with a Bond movie.
They just say that to get people to come watch the movie.
But still, like, I felt...
Like false advertising?
It really is, because now people are going to judge it off of Bond and give it a bad review, basing it off of Bond, when it really has nothing to do with Bond movies. Like, Bond is almost this, it's this romanticized version of a spy, where Atomic Blonde, I felt, was a really sort of, probably a closer look at what it's like to be a spy. Like, all the fight scenes are not, like, cool looking and martial arty. Like, it's just two people struggling to live. Right. It's just these really gritty fight scenes that feel real. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's a lot slower paced, because it's a lot more of what a spy goes through, and sort of integrating them into where they need to be, and creating their cover, and then them contacting their contacts. But I'm not trying to get into that movie, but in short, it doesn't pace like a Bond movie. It's not anything like a Bond movie, but they want to be like, it's like a Bond movie. So when I saw a trailer for Booksmart, and it was like, oh, it's the female Superbad, blah, blah, blah. Given I can see the similarities, but because it did kind of hit the beats of Superbad, I ended up comparing it to Superbad, and there's no comparison. I just wanted to, afterwards, I just wanted to watch Superbad, because I love Superbad. But this movie... It has its moments. it does have some like parts where I did laugh. There's one character throughout the whole movie that I really enjoyed, but she is not in the movie enough
to say that, right?
Exactly. For me anyway. I imagine some people will like it. But it's, it's very, because it is silent, like Superbad, it has that crude kind of humor. So this is definitely not for kids, right? But I did enjoy the relationship between the two main characters. That I did like, and I liked sort of them bouncing off of each other and that. But the conflict near the end of the movie that they have, it felt very forced because of how close their relationship is. There's some very awkward scenes that I guess I won't discuss it here, but there's some very awkward scenes that I felt it took too long to get to the punchline. So, trying to think of the most PG way of explaining this. So, in Superbad, there's the scene with Mick Levin and the girl he's with, and then the cops bust in, and they're like, "Oh, get out!" And then she runs away, and then they're like, "Oh no, we didn't mean to stop that from happening, man. You're supposed to be your friends, right?" There's something similar that happens in Booksmart, but they kind of drag it on a little too long. And I'm like, this is very awkward because these, as far as movie goes, these are two teenage girls. I don't want to see this. Like, right. So they just lingered too long on some scenes that I was just like, get to the point and get to the punchline because this is a comedy, right? And so in the end, it didn't.
It's not a movie that you care to watch.
Like I said, I'm sure some people could watch it and enjoy it, but it wasn't for me. And because of the marketing, I just compared it to Superbad. After watching it, I kind of just all I want to do is watch Superbad now. And yeah, those are all the movies I've watched recently.
Right. I was trying to think if there was anything more that I watched. Because the thing with me is I'll start a movie and forget I started a movie, and then I'll be like, oh, what happened to that? It'll say like you'll pull up your library or whatever, it'll be like continue watching. Yeah, it's like all of them. So I think that's about it for this episode. Like I said, we wanted to give one more free one out there before we put this as Patreon only content. So if you like what you hear and you want to subscribe for only, you can do it for $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever you want. We don't care. We just like doing this. It's a hobby. We are going to try to start upgrading some of our equipment soon, I hope.
Yep.
So even though we may sound good, the computer, my laptop is, she's
it's nearing the end of life.
We recorded the other day and it said, do you want to update? And I was like, nah. And then we're sitting here, like 40 minutes
and
later.
And then the problems rolled in.
We were sitting here like
very
40 minutes later. We're just waiting to record, and it's still like thinking blue circle of death or whatever, So, hope you enjoyed this. You're actually getting a lot of episodes this week. We're trying to make up for some lost time. We plan on doing several more this week. We're working on our Universal Monsters Night Studios. We're trying to get those recorded for October, right around the corner.
Yeah.
And me and that cricket, we are going to have a fight. I killed some of his buddies today over here on this side. I got to get that side, so he's not too happy with me. So, well, think this is coming to a close. Thanks for listening. And that's
don't forget to check out our Facebook page and Patreon, which we
just said that on the last episode.
But I mean, people don't watch all these.
Okay, so if this is your first time listening to us, that is my millennial counterpart. And I said millennial, right? I'm the older, the old man of the podcast, if you will.
The geezer.
Yeah, the geezer.
I'm on the tail end of millennial, though. So I'm
still, but if you're the tail of Haley's Comet, you're still the tail, and that's the one that everybody remembers. So
only because it's like I don't share some of the ignorance that the younger.
Whoa! I'm not calling any of our audience ignorant.
I'm not at all, but I'm saying, like, as far as cliche goes, like there's sort of two branches of millennial.
Well, that's with any generation.
Yeah,
the baby boomers, the zennials, like I am, or whatever. Yeah. The millennials, whatever them, the X generation X.
I don't know what they call it.
Well, D generation X, NWO, whatever you want to say. So. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and cut this before Terrence starts putting his foot in his mouth even further. That's a wrap on this episode. And cut.